Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Yooderverse podcast. Very glad to have you here. Today is going to be a short one, more of an encouragement of sorts. Before we begin, I want to thank you for all who listen to this podcast, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube. I also want to mention that I also have a newsletter on Medium and Substack. All links will be in the description below. And also, very recently, last week, I released a comic called Pip and Percy. If you want to know more about it, again, all links will be in the description below. And I am extremely grateful for the support, whether it's through listening or reading the newsletter, both of which I am very passionate about making. And yeah, that'll be it. Be sure to subscribe and share. And let's get into today's episode. So, for today's episode, I was thinking about a quote that I'd seen the other day. The quote is by Christine Kane, an author and speaker from Australia. The quote goes like this: sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually, you've been planted. And I feel there's two things that we can extract from this. Every story has a middle. You're just not at the end yet, and you impact people more than you realize. We often get caught up in the idea that if things aren't working out right now, then they never will. And that's simply not true. It's easy to feel stuck and easy to feel like our efforts don't matter, or at least that the best parts of life are reserved for someone else, that we're not worthy of enjoying some aspects of life, which again is simply not true. And one thing that I have to say is that your story isn't over. You're just in the middle of it. So, what I translate that as, when you feel like you're in a dark place, that's just part of a larger plan. There's still light to be enjoyed, even in the darkness. You can think about characters, people, personalities. You can think about your favorite movies, books, or shows. Every hero faces a moment where things seem impossible, where everything is crumbling, and they question if they should keep going. Like Frodo in The Lord of the Rings felt the crushing weight of the ring and nearly gave up before reaching the Mount of Doom, for those who have watched or read The Lord of the Rings. People like Steve Jobs, who was fired from his own company, Apple, in 1985, and for a time it seemed like his impact was over. But years later he returned, reinvented it, and changed technology forever. And those are just a few examples. These moments of struggle weren't the end of their stories. And I think that applies to us as well. And for them, that was just the middle of their story. And if they had quit there, would we have seen what the potential of the character or the person was? No, because when you quit, you have decided to end that part of your story there. You have made the conscious decision that this is my limit, when in reality, that is where your strength is tested. So just remind yourself that this is not the end of your story. When you're in a dark place, it can be financially, it can be relationally, it can be emotionally, psychologically, mentally, even physically. In any aspect of your life, always think, this dark place that I'm in right now is the middle of my story, not the end of it. and there's still good things to be enjoyed. The second thing I find we throw ourselves in as people who do a lot, like you're actively busy doing things, is that you don't realize the effect you have on people, or you feel like a lot of what you're doing is in vain, and we tend to convince ourselves that we don't matter in a way, and what we do does not matter, that if we disappeared no one will notice. But the truth is, you affect people in ways you never fully see. um a good example, I think, to Robin Williams, a sensational actor. He was one of the most beloved actors of all time, and he struggled deeply personally. If but despite that, he still played his roles to perfection and did things and delivered lines that really you can't even imagine anyone doing so. And even today, there are people who still talk about how his movies um, helped them get out of their dark places or places in life where they felt like giving up. And that's just one out of a multitude of examples. And you can think about it from your perspective, as a person who's been a beneficiary of such a thing. You can think about a teacher, a mentor, a friend, a parent, an uncle, an auntie, or just someone that you look up to who has made a huge impact on your life. They probably didn't know at the time how much they were helping you. And the same could apply to you. There's maybe something you've done, there's maybe something you've said, or a way that you have helped someone that has changed their life for the better. And as much as it's not said out loud, it could have changed their lives in ways that are unimaginable. So maybe your kindness or your words or your presence changed someone's life. Even if you don't see it right away, it's probably a fact somewhere on earth. With the people that you have interacted with, there could be someone that has been changed by something you did or said. Or simply by treating someone right, you can change their entire life. So even the smallest actions can have a ripple effect. Maybe you smiled at someone that could have been having the worst day of their lives, and maybe that smile, or maybe you said hi to someone, and it's one of those things where you'd find no one has even said hi to me today. That hello that you gave me today really made my day, or a situation like that. Maybe you said something encouraging to someone when they needed your help, and they took that as profound advice and ran with it, and it changed their lives for the better. And that's just the encouragement for today. It's not a long one. It actually just came as a whim, and I'm grateful. And one thing that I want you to take away from this is, one, struggles aren't the end of your story, they're just part of the journey. Two, you matter more than you realize, and you impact people in ways that you never fully see, and maybe even in ways that you'll never get to see. And lastly, keep going. Even if it's hard, which it will be, that's a promise, even when it feels pointless to continue to do some things, whether it's in practice of skills, whether it's in pursuit of relationships or business or education. Everything has its purpose. So even when it's hard, even when it feels pointless, your story is still happening. Every day is a day to shape the way you think and think positively in regards to situations, so that when those hard times come, you just think this is just a roadblock, it's just a speed bump, Just go over this, will overcome it, and succeed. So if you ever doubt your worth or your future, just remember you're not at the end of your book. This is a story that's still being written by you. Every day you decide how your story turns out. And that will be it for today. As I said, it is a relatively short one. It just came as a thought, and I decided to talk about it. I am really enjoying the structure of these episodes and how they're just free flowing, just speaking off the top of my head on what I feel is important. And then also, last week, there was no episode last week because I had fallen ill, but I am back now and will be releasing often, although I have still written. So, as I said in the beginning, I am very, very grateful for anyone who listens to this podcast or reads my newsletters. Again, all the links for that will be in the description below. And if you are interested in reading my mini comic, the link for that will also be in the description below. See you soon. Stay positive. Be encouraged. Take heart. Life is tough, but the toughness is necessary for growth, I believe. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.